What up? Welcome back to another Commander deck list. Today we're doing some Is It Spellslinger Storm stuff with a legend from Laws of Thunder Junction. It's Lilah, Undefeated Slickshot. I was just kind of clicking random on EDH rec. I saw this card and I'm like, oh, this card's kind of sick. So it's a 3-mana 3/3 with prowess, and whenever you cast a multicolored instant or sorcery from your hand, exile that spell instead of putting it into your graveyard as it resolves. If you do, it becomes plotted. So you essentially cast a multicolored spell, you get the value, and then it gets plotted for a later turn for you to cast again for free. So essentially all your multicolored spells you're casting twice. I saw this and I'm like, alright, cool, cast things eventually, and then like one big turn, play Ghost Storm crazy and just win the game off that turn. It's also pretty budget, sub $100 on TCG Player, which is pretty cool. I took out a few cards last minute because I'm like, they're a little expensive and they don't go that crazy with the deck plan. But yeah, let's get into it. Artifacts, really standard stuff, honestly, like Arcane Signet, Fellwar Stone, Is It Signet. You're playing standard ramp artifacts, and then Lightning Greaves, Soul Ring, obviously, Swiftfoot Boots, more protection for the commander because obviously getting those like essentially plotted spells every turn is really, really good. And then yeah, Talisman again, just like all the good 2-mana mana rocks that are, pretty cheap, and then a few protection pieces. Onto the creatures. I mean, again, we're kind of just still Is It Spellslinger, so we're going to be playing a lot of the good generic stuff like Archmage Emeritus, Magecraft, whenever you cast or copy an instant, draw a card. Archmage of Runes, whenever you cast an instant, draw a card. Also, it gets reduced because we are playing quite a few like 4 or 5 mana instants and sorceries, so the reduction's kind of nice. Balmor, whenever you cast instant or sorcery, creatures get +1/+0 and trample. It's going to be a win con on a big spell turn where you just start playing like 5 or 6 plotted cards from your exile. Just making everything really big. This can easily win games. Coruscation Mage, Offspring 2, and then whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. I chose this over cards like Ironclad Mentalist, I think it's called. All the ones that's like casting an instant or sorcery, you make a 1/1 because I think it's a little more reliable. But yeah, Crackling Spellslinger, this card's really fun to play with. Flash, when it enters, if you cast it, the next instant or sorcery you cast this turn has Storm. So obviously you can play a bunch of cards from exile for free, play Crackling Spellslinger, and then your next instant or sorcery you cast from hand or from exile just has Storm, and it can go pretty crazy. Electrostatic Field, again, dealing 1 damage whenever you cast an instant or sorcery. Goblin Electromancer, reducing all our cast prices. Gutter Snipe, dealing 2 to opponents for each instant or sorcery. Nalfishni, I think that's how you pronounce it. Whenever you cast a spell from exile, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. If it's a permanent spell, that copy gains haste and beginning of the end step. Sacrifice is permanent. So all our plotted spells are being copied, which obviously is just very good for the deck. Ral, this card is sick. I've got this off once, where you just like flip it at 7, then you just exile top however much and you just go off. So yeah, Ral, instant sorceries cost 1 less. This is like the worst part of the card, quote unquote. Whenever you cast instant or sorcery, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, he deals 1 damage to you. If you win the flip, you may exile Ral. If you do, return to the battlefield transformed. He transforms into Ral Leyline Prodigy. Ral Leyline Prodigy enters with an additional loyalty counter on him for each instant or sorcery spell you've cast this turn. So let's say you've cast 5 other ones, he comes in with 7, or I guess you want 6, so he comes in with 8. You can +1 until your next turn. Instant sorceries cost 1 less, kind of whatever. -2 deals 2 damage divided. You choose among 1 or 2 targets. Draw a card if you control a blue permanent other than Ral. Alright, but the big thing is you want to just flip him where he's going to guaranteed -8. Exile top 8 cards. You may cast instant and sorcery spells from among them this turn without paying their mana costs. It's just like a crazy extender if you can flip them on 8, and then you have 8 more cards to potentially play with. Stormkiln Artist, obviously very good. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, you make a treasure. So you're almost getting 2 for every multicolored spell with your commander out. Stormcatch Mentor, again, just a way to reduce instant sorceries. This one has haste and prowess. It's a little better than Goblin Electromancer, but yeah. Thunderclap Drake, instant sorceries cost 1 less, and then you can pay 3 sack. When you next cast an instant or sorcery, copy it for each time you've cast your commander. From the command zone this game, you may choose new targets. It's a cool way to like get your big storm spell to be copied. Onto the enchantments, we got Passionate Archaeologist. This is a 4-night secret lair because it's the cheapest printing, unfortunately. Commander creatures you have whenever you cast a spell from exile, this creature deals damage equal to the spell's mana value to target opponent. So obviously it's a very solid way to just deal damage to whatever on board when you cast spells. The Lost and the Damned, whenever a land enters from anywhere other than your hand, or you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, make a 3/3. Obviously this is good when we're just playing our cards from exile half the time. We're making a lot of 3/3s. And then Thousand Year Storm, we're a storm deck, you might as well play this. When you cast instant or sorcery, copy it for each other instant or sorcery spell you've cast before this turn. You may choose new targets for the copies. This card obviously goes crazy. I mean, it's a 6-mana enchantment, so you hope it does something pretty good, and it does something pretty good in this deck. Onto the instants. We're playing a lot of like weird multicolored instants, so here's Abandoned Attachments. Is it and a 1 is discard a card, draw 2. It's alright. We're obviously playing good counter spells, not if you can't refuse. Arcane Denial. Arcane Infusion is 2 mana, look at top 4, reveal an instant sorcery, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom. You can also flash it back, but that's kind of irrelevant. Broadside Barrage is 3 mana, deal 5 to a target creature planeswalker, draw a card, then discard a card, so it's a little more filtering. Chaos Warp's obviously good removal. Cunning Strike is 5 mana, deal 2 to target creature, 2 to a player, and draw a card. This card is like, I think this is a good signpost of how all the cards in this deck kind of play, where they're not really good by themselves, but with the commander, getting this effect for free after, for 5 mana is probably good enough. Electrolyze, 3 mana, deal 2 damage, divide as you choose among 1, 2 target creatures and or players, then you draw a card. Obviously also a lot of the cards we're playing just say draw a card, because drawing cards and filtering to get the best cards you want in the deck is important. Flame of Anor, 3 mana, you can either draw 2, destroy an artifact, or deal 5 to a target creature. You control a wizard, you can choose 2 of the effects instead of 1, which is cool. Not many wizards in the deck, but still, good effects. Frantic Search is in here just for good card filtering. Galvanic Iteration, when you cast an instant or sorcery this turn, copy that spell, you may choose new targets for the copy. It's a good way to get our big payoff spell to be copied. Inside Out, is it in 1, you switch target creature's power and toughness and then draw a card. This is essentially just 2 mana draw a card. And then you do it again for free later, so 1 mana draw a card after that. It's alright. It's in the deck because it fits. Is it Charm? You can counter target non-creature unless it's comploit base 2. You may have it deal 2 damage to target creature, or you can draw 2 then discard 2. So yeah, it can filter, it can hit a creature, it can counter something, which is useful. Negate, obviously just a decent counter spell. Opt is in here as a little bit of card filtering. I don't love it, but it fits as like a very cantrippy storm build-up deck. Pongify, 1 mana removal. Practical Research, 5 mana, draw 4, discard 2 unless you discard an instant or sorcery, so 4 mana, discard 1. And then you do that again when you recast it for free. Pretty good, and it can find you your best cards. Prismari Command, 3 mana, deals 2 damage to any target. Target player draws 2, discards 2, target player creates a treasure, and destroy target artifact. You choose 2 of them. Typically it's draw 2, trash 2, and either make a treasure or deal 2 to any target. I guess destroy an artifact. It's a very versatile card. Prophetic Bolt, 5 mana, deals 4 damage to any target. Look at the top 4 cards of your library, put one of those cards into your hand, put the rest on the bottom in any order. Another way to find us our good cards. When we cast it later for free, it's pretty good. Rowl's Outburst, 4 mana, deal 3 to any target. Look at the top 2, put one of them in your hand, other one into your graveyard. Again, just ways to find more cards, because that is kind of the entire deck. Rapid Hybridization, similar to Pongify, 1 mana, destroy a creature. Reality Shift, 2 mana, but you exile a creature, so it's a little bit better, but you gotta pay 2 instead of 1. They also manifest the top card, which usually is irrelevant. Slick Sequence, 2 mana, deals 2 to any target. If you've cast another spell this turn, draw a card. I actually like this card, and it's probably one of the better instances in the deck, unfortunately, besides like the very standard counter spells and stuff. Surge of Brilliance, 2 mana, draw a card for each spell you've cast this turn from anywhere other than your hand, which is obviously good when we're playing like 4 or 5 plotted cards in a turn. And you can foretell it and then pay the same later instead. Teach by Example, 2 is a hybrid. When you cast your next instant or sorcery, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Again, obviously very good with copying our big storm spells. Thought Flare, 5 mana, draw 4, discard 2. And then let's go through the sorceries, which has most of our payoffs. This one, not one of them, but it's an alright card. Deals damage equal to the number of instant sorcery cards you own in exile and in your graveyard. So it's a decent removal spell. Blasphemous Act as our board wipe. Probably play more, but yeah, just on one right now, I think. Collected Conjuring, 4 mana, exile top 6, cast up to 2 sorcery cards with CMC 3 or less from among them without paying mana cost. Put the exiled cards not cast this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. It's not too hard to get 2 hits out of this, and then, yeah, you cast it again for free on a later turn. It just is a very good way to build up a lot of Storm if you hit. Elemental Eruption, this is one of our win con cards. 6 mana, make a 4/4 red dragon elemental creature token with flying and prowess, and it has Storm. I've had games where I've ended up like copying the spell once as well with Storm, and then like, I don't know, you end up with 20 something dragons on board, and then the next turn you just like have Balmor Battle Mage, and like, cool, here's 20 10-5 or 10-6 dragons with trample coming at people for game. Expressive Iteration. Look at top 3, put 1 in your hand, 1 on the bottom of your library, exile 1. You may play the exiled card this turn. It's wild that this card is banned in Legacy and Pioneer, but yeah, this card is pretty good. Just, I don't think it's actually like ban worthy in either of these formats. Gandalf Sanction, 3 mana, deals X damage to an target creature, where X is the number of instant sorcery cards in your graveyard. Excess damage is dealt to that creature's controller instead. So you can hurt a creature similar to Beacon Bolt, except with this you deal excess to the player, which is alright. Glacial Dragon Hunt, draw a card, you may discard a card. When you discard a card this way, deal 2 damage to target creature. Obviously this is kind of just 2 mana, draw a card. Worst case scenario, best case scenario, you can also discard a non-land and remove something on board. Grape Shot, obviously this is a staple in most Storm decks. Deals 1 damage to any target Storm. You get this, I don't know, you get like 40 triggers of it going somehow, and then boom, you just kill everybody at the table. Ill-Timed Explosion, 4 mana, draw 2, you may discard 2 cards. When you do, it deals X damage to each creature, where X is the greatest mana value among discarded cards discarded this way. So yeah, draw 2, discard 2, and then you can kind of just board wipe if you discard a really big card. I mean, dealing 5 to the table will usually hit most things, but yeah. Lock and Load, 3 mana, draw a card, then draw a card for each other instant or sorcery spell you've cast this turn. Again, this card, obviously very good. You can also plot it earlier in the game for 4 mana instead, and then just play it for free on a big turn where you need to find a Storm card. And then Mind's Desire, obviously this is fun in Storm decks. Shuffle your library, exile top card. Until the end of the turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. And then Storm. So you could just like, I don't know, exile top 10, 20 cards and just keep going from there. From Mind's Desire, get a stormed off Elemental Eruption or Grape Shot instead. Ponder, good way to filter cards. It's a decent cantrip. Role Reversal, 3 mana, exchange control of 2 target permanents that share a permanent type. I actually think this card is very fun to play with. I'd never seen this card, and I played it, and I'm like, oh, this is fun. Not like super broken, but it's just really interesting and can do fun things on the board. Squeeze Revenge, 3 mana, choose a number, flip a coin that many times, or until you use a flip, whichever comes first. If you win all the flips, draw 2 cards for each flip. It's just a fun like little mini game card. I mean, I think it's safe to say this deck is very much bracket 2. It might be able to compete with bracket 3, but in my experience, it's much closer to a pre-con level deck, so having fun cards like this in it is kind of a no-brainer. And then Vandal Blast, you can just destroy all artifacts. It's an artifact board wipe, or you can hit a single thing. I'll quickly go over the lands. There's really nothing special. I mean, like, I put Steam Vents in the deck because it's pretty cheap right now. Always like talking about good lands and stuff like that when they get really cheap. Mystic Sanctuary, I think this card is pretty cheap right now. I feel like I remember this card used to be like $3-4 like on Card Kingdom, but yeah, it's gone down a decent bit, so I like this card a lot. I play it in most blue decks when I can. Boilerworks, I don't know, I'm high on bounce lands right now. Frostbow Snarl, I'm also high on Snarls for some reason. But yeah, really nothing that crazy. On the maybe board, Bria, Prowess, other creatures have Prowess. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. I think this card's alright, like being able to double Prowess your commander and everything, but I think you'd have to play more of the token generators for this card to be better. Delayed Blast Fireball deals 2 to each opponent and each creature they control. If it was cast from Exile, it deals 5 instead. I think this card's alright, but it's just, I don't know, like, there's no easy way to get it into the Exile for free and then casting it from Exile. If you could with Lilah, I would for sure, but this card would have to be multicolored. Veyran, Voice of Duality, another thing where Magecraft, she gets +1/+1, and then casting or copying instant sorcery causing a triggered ability, it triggers it again. So like double triggering your Magecraft stuff is pretty good, but again, I think you'd want to play more Magecraft stuff for this to be better. And then Wild Magic Sorcerer, the first spell you cast from Exile each turn has Cascade. Most of our spells are like 3 or 2, I find. I mean, there's the occasional big one that's like 5 or 4, but when most of them are 3 and below, it's not crazy. You like Wild Magic Sorcerer, you play a spell, and then the only cards are like a removal or an off or like a counter spell or something. It's not that crazy. But yeah, that's the deck. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll be back next week. I believe the monthly Architect build contest is coming out in a few days as of recording, so I'll probably cover that next week. If I don't, it'll be something else, and I'll cover it the week after, unless I don't like the theme. Like January's was snow, and I'm like, whatever. But yeah, until next week, bye bye.